Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first piece of Chromatic Draft League content on the channel, other than the PRs. And that is Week 1's Game of the Week between the San Francisco Falinks, Dead Red, and then the Santa Clara Silvallies and Nocturne. Now, I know what you're thinking. Your first thing you think is, wow, this is an ugly graphic, and I'd be inclined to agree with you, but I've been a very busy lad this week. And I just finished surgery not even a week ago, so there is that few days of recovery and then whatever's happening after that. So at the time I had to make a graphic was not exactly very good, and I just threw this together. But that is why it is so ugly. I'm going to be working on a new one that'll look possibly a little better. We'll see, depending on if this is a cool video or not, if people care about it. But as you can see on the screen, that is the matchup right there. Greninja, Latios, Entei, Electivire, Hitmonchan, Corviknight, Sylveon, Torterra, Shedinja, Snorlax, and Galarian Slowbro versus Superior Garchomp, or Mega Garchomp, Orbeetle, Rotom Frost, Togekiss, Heatran, Honchkrow, Rampardos, Machamp, Licky Pex, and Wobbuffet. So I just got a DM or a group chat, and the goal is, yes, so if you guys are watching this and you're a competitor, the goal is to have the most features on Game of the Week as possible. Now, that's a tough one because those 6-0s aren't going to be Game of the Week. Those aren't going to be the most interesting games, so they're going to have to be consistently interesting games. But yes, if you will get a reward for being the most consistent Game of the Week attendant, which is really cool. So as you can see, this is of course Week 1, so the record for both teams is both 0-0. That third 0 is for tie if you're confused about it. But let's get right into breakdown. They didn't approve me to show the sets because they weren't public and I didn't ask them, and I'm not waiting for Red to get online to ask if I can show the sets they made. But you're gonna see a lot of what the sets are. So as you can see here, Greninja is the fastest mon on the field. The speed advantage goes to the Falinks for sure here. They have better speed tiers and a more dominant offensive presence, or not a more dominant offensive presence, but a more dominant offensive presence speed-wise, I would say. As you can see, those first 4 mons are dominantly faster, at least in the most case. And additionally, Orbeetle, if it comes, usually will not be running max speed, so it kind of makes that 90-92 speed tier a little bit, it's cluttered, but kind of not really, because usually you're running defensive Orbeetle, you're running webs, you're running Calm Mind or some sort of setup variant, or like a spec set if you wanted to. I guess you could do that. Defensively, this game, the Falinks have an okay matchup. It's pretty good. I would say I think Sylveon and Snorlax take care of, or Corviknight and Snorlax can take care of that Togekiss, Superior, Rotom Frost situation they got going on there. Physically, on the physical side though, I think Torterra, possibly Corviknight, and then we'll have a harder time taking on the Rampardos, the Machamp, the Mega Garchomp, especially if he can get that web support up. Red's team having Hitmonchan, Corviknight, they're going to be pretty full this game, I reckon. So getting those webs up could be pretty big. Offensively, on the Greninjas, they're going to have to capitalize on that speed early, taking advantage of those gaps in speed tiers that allow it to run maybe a more nature that you'd rather, to get a little bit more damage off. So Latios maybe could run Modest and forfeit that Superior, or forfeit the Garchomp matchup, and allow maybe Greninja Ice Beam to take care of that, and you can run Modest or Adamant Latios with the coverage it needs to, take out Heatran to chip Togekiss. Rampardos is the crested mon for the Silvallies. That means that the prospect of Scarfed and Banned is possible, but most likely it will be crested, which is nice because that kind of limits a little bit Nocturne's options. If he wants a Scarfer, it'll likely be the Togekiss or the Rotom Frost. Could be the Superior, but I don't think Scarf Superior really does anything except let Corviknight in and U-turn, which gives Red momentum again. So I don't know if that's the best option. Electivire on the Falinks team looks pretty darn good. If it's agility, Scarf set, it has all the coverage it needs to really do quite a bit on this team. Snorlax can also be pretty good as a setup variant. It has a good matchup against Heatran. A lot if the Tran wants to be Trapper set, it could be Trap. But then again, Red has to watch out for Body Press as well. Trapper Body Press looks pretty good this game. Trapper Body Press, especially on that Slowbro taunt, Body Press, Trapper move, and X move could be really bad. Other than that, I don't want to go too into the analysis here. It's already been 5 minutes, so let's just go ahead and get into the game. And we are about to ascend to professional PokeTuber level. So you're looking at this, right? And it's a little bit ugly, but oh my gosh, we have created a transition, and I didn't know this was possible until just now. Until right before the recording, I was like, I think I can do this, and I did it. So as you can see on the red side of the field, the 6 he brings is going to be Entei, Greninja, Latios. Why can't I say that thing? Galarian, Slowbro, Torterra, and Electivire, and Nocturne is going to bring Heatran, Machoke, Orbital, Greninja, or not Greninja, Garchomp. 1 second, let me pause. Sorry about that. Keeping my knee under my desk for a while gets a little bit exhausting and sore. But Garchomp, Togekiss, Heatran, and I believe I didn't say the Rotom Freeze, Rotom Frost, same thing. So right away, looking at the lead matchup, as you can see here, the good thing for, let's talk about who gets the protagonist view. First of all, who gets the protagonist view? I'm gonna give it to Red, just because he's the hero of our story, I guess. Actually, nah, it's going to Noct. Alright, cool. So, the Heatran matchup is pretty good this game. Heatran's an interesting case because it kind of has a hard time against everything on the opponent's team, on Red's team. The Entei, I don't think the Entei can touch it with too much, but it totally could. Because as I say that, I'm like 100% sure it gets this move, but I'm going to go ahead and double check so I don't look like an idiot. Entei. It does indeed get Stomping Tantrum. So Stomping Tantrum can do a number to Heatran. Greninja Hydro Pump can, after a little bit of chip, I believe, depending on the set. Latios can Earthquake. Why can't I say it? The Galarian Slowbro is a different. It could Scald, but overall the Scald isn't too big of a deal. And depending on the Torterra set, obviously it's probably going to be hiking Earthquake, and then Earthquake is definitely a possibility on the Electivire. Rotom Frost is a pretty good matchup depending on its set. Scarf set allows it to pretty much take down quite a bit of his team, other than the Entei on a Blizzard, or then a possible Assault Vested or Specially Defensive biggest Galarian Slowbro. But as you can see, Freeze Dry or Blizzard or whatever is going to be doing quite a bit to everything, except if that Torterra is Crest, because Crested Torterra actually swaps the resistances and stuff, so it's resisted to ice, which is really cool. Mega Garchomp looks pretty good this game, especially if it's Scale Shot and you can get set up. It does Mega Garchomp things. It most likely though will need a +2 because Latios, Electivire, Greninja are all liable to be scarfed, and that could be a problem. Machamp is pretty good this game as well, and Orbital does Orbital things. It has a hard matchup against pretty much just the Greninja and the Entei. On Red's side of the field though, obviously we talked about the Electivire being very good. Ice Punch, Earthquake, Fighting Move, Electric Move does a lot this game. Torterra is very good. It depends on the set, but it can do a few different things. The Slowbro gets a lot of momentum on this team. They can come in and check the Tran, the Rotom, and the Togekiss depending on the set, but most likely pretty much every time, and teleport out and give Red some offensive momentum. Greninja is of course the fastest mon on the field, and which is another thing, so the big speed advantage goes to Red right now because that Electivire is the fastest thing, or is the it's faster than the entirety of Nocturne's team depending on set and item. So the advantage of speed definitely goes to Red. Let's go ahead and see how the teams lead here. So kicking off the battle, Red's gonna lead his Greninja while Nox is gonna lead his Garchomp. Garchomp has to get out of there, and Red is going to go ahead and opt to U-turn. I have this text on slow, so I don't need to really talk too fast. Red comes into the Slowbro, the Galarian Slowbro, and Nox throws off a Throat Chop. Throat Chop's pretty good. Throat Chop is to check. I will just say it. Throat Chop is to beat the Sylveon, because Sylveon's Hyper Voice would no longer work with Throat Chop active, and then I'm pretty sure it's packing some sort of poison move to tack on damage there. Yeah. So Red fires off a Future Sight attack, setting up something in a couple turns. He's gonna Nox gonna opt to go into Togekiss as Red goes into Torterra and goes back on into Slowbro. See, as you can see, Slowbro is walling quite a bit this game. That Future Sight doesn't do too much. It reveals there's not a lot of investment on Red's half. I want to turn the music down a little bit. I can't tell if it's too loud. And we're going to get a para off on the Slowbro, which is pretty big. That para could come into play big. Double switch here as the Red switches in his Electivire on the Ice Punch, and Nox misses Excel Shot. This is important. This is an important turn. Red, the double switch, he stays in and clicks the button. Nox goes for Scale Shot. That Scale Shot would have put him in a really good position. It's likely that Greninja would have come back, or Scarf Latios is definitely a thing, or Greninja's priority Water Shuriken move might have come in and cleaned it up. But later, it reveals that the Electivire is Choice Scarfed, so the speed wouldn't have mattered. It would have done. He would have just got chipped if he decided to stay in. But there's no reason to not stay in if you're gonna click that move. The Prism Scale comes out, and on Flying Field, which is the field we are on, it lowers the defense and special defense of the user and provides Tailwind, as we just saw. So basically, yeah. See, as you can see, the Choice Scarf is revealed as well. But that speed boost is really helpful for everything on Nox team. It provides that kind of safety check for the Scarfers that Red's revealing, or the other speed disadvantage Nox had, but only for 4 turns. So Red goes ahead and stays in, clicking Ice Punch, which does abysmal damage, revealing some pretty good defense investment. He switches in on a U-turn, which is pretty rough, especially considering that Tailwind is up and he has to switch out again. But Slowbro is, like, as you can see, the defensive MVP this game. Nasty Plot gets set up, and then Nox is going to fire off a Thunder, which is boosted accuracy in the Skyfield, if I remember correctly. Red's going to go ahead and fire out Future Sight, and he's going to sack off his Entei. The sack on Entei here does come into play later. What it does on the surface, though, is Entei's speed after Nox reveals Life Orb is pretty useful. It has priority E-speed, most likely, which is very useful to take out the Garchomp. If it does manage to get a Scale Shot up and you're kind of in trouble again. It also helps take out this Rotom and the Orbeetle, which are both relatively big threats, and depending on whether or not it had Stomping Tantrum, could take out the Heatran, but he opts to sack it anyway. The better play, I'm not going to comment on the better play. Obviously, the better play is to go into Motor Drive Electivire or Torterra. But, you know, he sacks the Entei. His sets, I'm not totally sure on his sets and everything in his game plan, but this is the play that happened at the end of the day. So Red is going to send out his Latios as the Tailwind goes away, and he's going to click Aura Sphere and take out the he reveals Life Orb, and he takes out the Rotom Frost with Aura Sphere. Rotom Frost did a pretty good job this game. This guy, the Slowbro, is pretty whittled down. It's at 50% now, but he's going to get that Regenerator boost as he switches back out here. He's going to be clicking that button and doesn't get the flinch because unfortunate. Never lucky. Red goes back into Electivire on the Air Slash, and it takes 90% of damage. He's going to go ahead and click he's going to click Volt Switch and pop the Wakan Berry on Nox. Why can't I remember? Togekiss. You know, whatever. He's just going to get his health back and get that Regenerator. Red's going to keep cycling that Regenerator. As long as he can keep this thing alive, he has a pretty good shot at winning. Garchomp's going to come in and take 16 on the Sludge Wave, so Garchomp is now in range of a lot. Red stays in and reads the Scale Shot, taking all 5 hits and killing in return, I believe. And killing in return. That's a play, but that's a interesting play. It takes care of the immediate issue, but now Red's kind of in a situation where he has to cycle that through a few times. He switches into a U-turn on Orbeetle, who does a lot of damage, a lot more than it should, and Machamp is going to come out on the Volt Switch, which does 30%, so it's a pretty good chunk. Torterra comes out and reveals that it is not Crested, it is normal set, and Strength is going to go ahead and Dynamic Punch and get that confusion. This is a pretty interesting spot to be in, because Nocturne's going to start stacking bulk ups here, and that's the problem for Red. Red, who's going to stack rocks, or not stack rocks, but put up rocks because the Orbeetle and the Togekiss both revealed that they are not boots, and that could seriously help toward the end of the game. So Laking Rocks comes up. He sends in the Slowbro, which is just putting in the finest of work here. He gets confused, but now he has the opportunity to get back out and recycle that Regenerator, which is exactly what he does. So Terra comes back out, another bulk up, which is kind of getting scary at this point, but he always does have the Latios to Revenge Kill. And at the percentage it's at, it should always live a Bullet Punch, even if, as long as, you know, Strength doesn't get too strong out there. Secret Power comes out, which on the field confuses the opponent. I will leave a link to the Chromatic Showdown server on Dawn, and you can go ahead and look at the crests and the fields there if you want any more information on everything else, along with a link to the server. So Strength's going to snap out of confusion and hit another bulk up. The more it gets confused, the better position obviously Red is in. He's going to keep clicking Earthquakes. It's probably likely that Drain Punch is going to come out on Nocturne's side of the field, I think. Or he doesn't have it, he just Dynamic Punches. Which is okay for Red, as he now gets to go into Latios and click Psychic. Click A move. Psychic invites in Heatran, but Noc's going to stay in a Bullet Punch. I don't know if that roll mattered too much, and Red Ice Beams as he sacks his Latios to Life Orb, which is sad, but it is what it is. Granger comes out here, and I believe it clicks the priority move. Nope, it tanks a Bullet Punch and then clicks Dark Pulse. So now the position is Red needs to remove the Heatran before he can start spamming things. Togekiss comes out. Red reveals Taunt on the Roost, which is really cool, especially if he has Earth Beam or Ice Beam, which he does. Unfortunately, Nocturne lives it, and I believe kills back. Nope, he just Air Slashes, which is cool. So Red is going to reveal excellent prep on Red's part there. That's just really good prep, stopping the... I mean, this is a very specific type of prep. You don't bring that move unless you're expecting your opponent to be in the situation where they want to roost, they want to set rocks, and you can stop them and hit them back. And packing the Ice Beam is an excellent bring as well on the Togekiss and the Garchomp, of course. Heatran comes back in, and Red has to kind of go into his Slowbro. I can't. And so Slowbro comes in and he gets Earth Powered, which does 34%, which is quite a hefty chunk of damage. Now, there's not a lot of things that Red can do, and this is where he loses the game. So Red's going to go ahead and sack the Greninja and send out his... what did he send out? The Electivire. So the Electivire here is going to go ahead and click Earthquake. It's possible Red could have lost the game either way, or he Volt Switches out. So... I won't spoil anything. So Red goes back into this thing. It's Assault Vested, so there's no status move that Noct is worried about right now. He can freely click Recover and just start stacking Iron Defenses. Unless that Electivire is carrying Fire Punch, even if it does carry Fire Punch at +4, there's not a lot that's going to be happening. So Noct just gets to keep setting up and clicking whatever button he desires eventually until the game will end. Had Red kept his Greninja, it could have turned out to be a different game, just because this Mon, unless it's like packing some sort of ground attack, since it reveals leftovers, Heatran is not taking a ton from Scald, and then you're gonna have to deal with paralysis at that point. So I think keeping the Greninja and the Electivire for the Dark Pulse insurance and the Earthquake insurance at least led to more opportunities. So Red's gonna come on here and he's just gonna fish for a crit. Really, that's all he can do at this point. So he thunders, and even a crit doesn't really help anything. And Nocta just gonna finish off with another few body presses here, and yeah, and he just finishes off with another few body presses. But it was a really close game. The game came down to the play back on turn, I don't know, 30 something, where Red sacked the Greninja, and in his defense, he probably wasn't expecting this setup or Beetle set, which is a good bring this game. I reckon it's Calm Mind as well. Oh no, it's not Calm Mind. It's a good bring. It's good as long as there's no such thing as Greninja around, because without Calm Mind, it's a hard set to wall, since you're taking so much from Dark Pulse, and especially with the Togekiss gone, Dark Pulse switch or Greninja switch ins specifically are pretty hard to get. But yeah, that sack on the Greninja was the thing that decided the game. But overall, like, it was a really good game. The taunt prep, the great reads in the beginning by Red, great plays on both sides. But Red did make a lot of plays, and he ultimately lost to the sack, the incorrect sack, which even then did not guarantee a win. I don't think it would depend on a few plays. But that is going to be the Chromatic Draft League Game of the Week for Week 1. Hopefully, there's one of these for every single week. Maybe we even get some guests on. But that is going to be it for me. Goodbye, God bless, and have a great day.